So tell me, what is a mistake that people usually make when they are purchasing property in terms of, like in legal terms basically?
Like a legal mistake.
Like a legal mistake yenye watu hufanya. Because I know itakuja tu kutouch on doing your homework. But what is a mistake people make? When you want people wamepatikana, they have bought land from someone who's grabbed, or a common mistake people make?
The first one, I'll repeat, not doing your homework. Because a mistake is not a legal one until things go left.
Hi everyone, my name is Edna.
And I'm Mercy.
And this is A Real Conversation.
Your trusted guide in everything real estate here in Kenya.
And we are proudly brought to you by Centum Real Estate, the biggest real estate developer in East and Central Africa. Thank you, Centum Real.
Thank you. And so, today I'm so excited. I am so excited. We have Subwine. Wale wa wakili ya quick wine.
You guy, my guy.
you know, wakili, what do I do? Nimeshikwa niko Central Police. But now, tuko Central Police, ya land and property ownership. And today, guys, I just want to introduce our biggest guest yet. Uyu ni wale the propers. So before I continue, let's give him a chance. Be the people
who he is,
what he does, what he likes.
Yeah, something interesting.
So let's go to it. Cynthia.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Karibu.
Asante. My name is Michael Maina.
Yes.
I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
Lazima ngesema.
High Court. It has to be complete. I also sometimes it's a side hustle. I manage properties, rental properties. So I think it really helped me to just have two minds. I have the mind of a real estate guy and advocate, but it's a side hustle.
Okay.
Yeah. So I practice mostly corporate commercial and banking law, securities, mortgages, finance, real estate.
Yeah. Guys, mnasikia mtu tunawaletea,
Kiingereza kubwa.
Kiingereza like whoops.
Kiingereza kubwa.
Kubwa ile.
Michael, tell us apart from work, tell us how your 5 to 9 looks like. We know your 9 to 5. Ama you can tell us your 9 to 5 and how it looks like, and then your 5 to 9.
Okay. Let's start with the official working hours. That's in the office. Phone calls, emails, meetings. Yeah, like today I've had a meeting. I actually had 2 meetings today. Today morning. Outside that, I like reading. I read a lot. And also I like going to the gym. It just helps me distress. Yeah, I like lifting weights occasionally. Yes.
But unajua mimi pia going to the gym was one of my New Year's resolution, guys. Yeah, niko na gym membership.
You've started.
I've started, guys. But sijaenda, but I've started.
You've started one step at a time.
One step at a time.
I was to ask, do you read fiction or non-fiction?
I read a lot. I read a lot of history, classical history. I read a lot of, not so old history, like 18th, 19th century, 20th century. I don't do a lot of fiction because I think the way my mind works, I like to make sense of what I'm reading. So if I make sense of it and then it's false or it didn't happen, then I'm left having no conclusion. And then it makes my mind go, it's unsettled. Yeah, because that story is not complete. But if I read something, it's difficult, but it's making sense. There's a conclusion in sight. I like that.
Because I read for leisure, like I don't read for retention. So mimi ushanga watu wenye husoma non-fiction. It's
kama hizo zinga anasema.
You're already working hard.
I like African authors. Why men in Lagos drive you mad? Those are the things I like to read. Tell me why. But anyway, we are so happy you're here today.
Thank you. Asante sana.
And we have had, people have this problem of land ownership, like property ownership, going the legal aspect. And leo tunataka tu kuongelelea how we can go how someone can start this process, because not many people fear going to lawyers because they think it's a very expensive process, and in some way it is. So we just want to shed a light. So that's why we wanted to do this episode.
But before we continue, Mercy, how was your week? As usual.
Oh my God, umenipata off guard. Nilikuwa nimeenda straight to the topic. But my week has been amazing. Nimerelax. Work as usual. And leo nimemeet wakili, like, you know,
your week is good.
My week is good. I am about to cause some trouble in this city. Go Jenny Mon, you guy. I have my lawyer, so stop calling me. But other than that, I've been great. I've just been great. Church, everything is good.
Fantastic.
Now,
imagine I've just been chill. Like, as I think at this point I should bring my parents to this podcast. All the time.
But
I was with them over the weekend, just relaxing, visiting the old folks.
Happy birthday,
Mama Edna.
Mama Edna prays for us, by the way, my God. Mi sijui kama bishtia mama ako anakuombeanga. Mama yake anasemanga, where is Mercy? Ananiombea.
Nice.
Ninapendwa nyumbani akina Edna. Like, ninapendwa nyumbani.
When she's loved at home, she's loved at our home.
Yes. But anyway, that's how
my week has been, honestly.
Now Michael ametuambia what he likes. But nimesikia Michael can make a mean cup of chai. Is it true?
Yes, I can. I can.
What's your secret ingredient? Rosemary, masala?
No, actually, it's in how you do it. It's in the how. It's not in the tea leaves. Yeah.
So he's here to give us the tea about how you can go.
Hey. Funga laptop, girl. Funga laptop.
I've done enough.
You've done enough for the day. But anyway, tulikuwa tunaongelea sasa legal. The legal aspect. And when you talk about owning
a property
in Kenya,
what does it really mean in legal terms?
Tuanzie tu hapo.
Okay. You mentioned property and land. So they're two different things, even though we can use property as the umbrella term, because property, there's both movable and immovable. You know, there's land, there's an apartment, and vitu mingi. So let's just say property. So owning property is simple and difficult at the same time. It's simple if you do it right. It's difficult if you don't do it right, as in most things in life. So the first step, I think, if you were to say you own a property, it's important that you have title documentation. You know, either it's let's just call it a title that has or reads your name. Either you bought it as an individual or the name of a company that you bought it with. That's the first one.
That's the first step.
Yeah, that's the first step.
Have something that shows.
Yes, it is registered in your name. Right. The second thing is that the processes before you getting that property transferred and registered in your name is that you followed the due processes. You know, you didn't akufanya ukora. There was no fraud, because fraud is a way of revoking that title. You know, if it is proven that you fraudulently acquired that property. That title can be revoked. So I think those two things are very important: the procedure and then the title document. Yes.
What's the title document called in Kenya?
It's called a certificate of title. It can be called a certificate of lease. Sometimes it's a sublease. It just depends on what you're buying. But again, we can use the umbrella term of a title. And I think we'll use the word good title, because then good title, that's a title that is clean. You can take it to the bank if you want a mortgage, to use it as collateral. You can transfer it to someone else. You can sell it. You can give it to your kids. You can transfer it the way you want.
Okay. Nimesikia ukimention certificate of title, certificate of lease. So is it like, are there different ways like people can own ndio ukwe unaitwa
Kwanza. I even saw there was discourse on Twitter recently about property ownership, and someone was saying, mbona unapewa lease, is that property really yours? But the lease,
yes,
so is there a way
information, I think, so maybe you can tell people
how people can own, like, is there different ways you can own your property?
There are only two: freehold and leasehold. So I'll start with leasehold. Leasehold is where you essentially, to lease is to rent. So you're leasing, quote unquote, from a landlord, right? Okay. Now, land or property in Kenya, the landlord is the government of Kenya, right? And so they hold the property and they lease it to you. So you can have a lease in your name, Edna. You can have it registered in your favor. You can sell it. You can take it to the bank as a collateral. You can do all those things. But there's a term of lease. So usually 99 years. Zile za kitambo zilikuwa 999. Zile za wazungu. Yeah, there's 99, and then now some are 50 years. So during that period, you will be paying money to the government of Kenya, right? So there's a fee that you pay that is called land rent, payable to the government of Kenya. Yeah, so that's leasehold. And then now, as the term is about to expire, usually 5 years before, you're supposed to go and start the renewal process. It's a fairly straightforward process. Though if you don't do it, now the property reverts back to the landlord, the government of Kenya. So lazima kumechangamka. Otherwise, na mapema. At least 3 years ikienda sana, but 5 years is a good time. So because usually the person who holds that, they call it, they have a preemptive right. Basically, wewe ndio utakuwa kwanza kwa line. You'll be the first in line. Kurentishwa tena. Juu ndio ulikuwa hapo.
But arentishana the same price.
You see, the thing is with government, they're not selling it to you. It's just a renewal. Yeah. So maybe the fee that you pay annually might go up, but it's not a lot of money. Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
It depends on so many things. It depends on whether it's in whether the area it's located. If it's for example, if it's in the CBD, it's a rural. It's a urban area. It's urban.
Prime.
But now if it's in Nakuru, still an urban area, but it's going to be lower. If it's in Mombasa, it's still urban, but lower
it's
still.
Not like Nairobi.
It's not like Nairobi. Yeah. So it really depends. Yeah. Okay. So zile za kitambo za 99 years ulikuwa na sometimes 720 shillings. Yeah. Then the new ones you can see 36,000 shillings per annum.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But leasehold in a makes sense for urban areas. Do people in shags have leasehold?
That leads me to freehold. Where freehold is now mostly agricultural land. Yeah, so ini mostly ushago. You hold the property absolutely. Yeah, so it's just your name. As long as, I think very rarely, maybe there's like a KPLC line running through or something. It is subject to that, like you can't remove that KPLC line, or there's some public utility or like a road that passes through there. Those are the only conditions for you owning that. But by and large, you don't pay anything. You just own the property indefinitely. The only thing you might pay ni rates za county. Ushaona zile billboards na huwa zimekwa pay rates by the ama kuna waiver ya rates.
Sasa shags watu wanafaa walipe rate.
Unafaa ulipe rates.
What happens if I don't?
Usually, I think most counties don't really enforce them in rural areas so much. But now, usually, when you go to sell, you can't, you pay, until you pay.
The process.
Yeah, then you'll have to backdate all those payments. But usually, it's not a lot. So the county will just give you a figure, you pay, and then you sell it. Yeah, or you want to use the property as collateral in a bank.
You'll have to be clean.
You have to be clean, yeah. Like you followed all the due processes. Yeah, like usually banks ask for those. So you get a rates clearance certificate.
Okay, so there's leasehold, there's freehold.
Yeah.
And then in leasehold, mtu analipa rent and rates.
Yeah.
Yes, you pay both.
You pay both.
You have to pay both.
But only in a freehold, you only pay rates to the county. And then rent is paid to the national government.
Correct. Hapo shashika.
Mimi nimeshika napanga chapi mimi sana. Anyway, hiyo nataka hiyo national government who is in charge of collecting this money.
Yeah.
So
which body?
It is actually you pay all this nowadays. You pay. It used to pay to KRA through iTax, but now there's a new kid on the block called Athisasa. I'm sure you've heard about it. Yeah. So basically, this is under the Ministry of Lands. So it's I think the greater dream is to have all land records digitized. Yeah. So let's say, for example, you want to pay anything pertaining land, you have to go through Athisasa. So if it's what you're saying now, the rent, paying rent, you have to have an account first. Then now that property has to be registered in your name, and then now you can go ahead and pay.
But Edna, si tuliongelea hii story rates kuongea ati kuongezeka. So guys, listen to us sometimes. You know, we're very smart babes here. Anyway,
and I was to ask, so there's someone out there mwenye tumesema it's leasehold or freehold, hizo mbili peke yake. Kuna mtu mwenye akona the good title, and for a leasehold property, for example, is there a difference in title? Like, what is the major difference ukiangalia the title?
Difference in terms of?
Like wording or something like that.
Yeah, they're very different because you see, since colonial times, there've been different titles that used to be issued. You know, when Kenya was a colony, a protectorate, then a colony, that whole time, and then post-independence. So there are different regimes of title, right? But by and large, the title document that you get, at least it has to show some key things. And it has to have a description of the property, that is where it is, the registry that it was that is responsible for handling that, and also importantly is the parties. You know, so if it's leasehold, you'll see there's GOK transferred to this person, to this person, to this person, to this person. There are different regimes of title, and they're quite complete. They're quite complex. Yeah, they're quite complex. But I think any good title it's easy for you to have those records. And if you want to know, it's just prudent to do a search. You do a search. That's basically you go to a registry. You of course get a lawyer first. They'll help you get a search. Once you do that search, now the results of that search will show who's the current owner of the property, who is whether now there's been like a loan, there's a collateral, if the title is in a bank, you know, being held as collateral, and so on and so forth.
Kuna kitu umesema buy and large.
By and large, yeah.
Because I've heard you say it twice, and to clear the air. By and large means generally speaking. Because for every property is different. So for example, right now the titles in Nairobi, they're being converted to blocks.
There was a list that was gazetted. So all properties there have to be converted. So the benefit of that is that all the new titles, there'll be some semblance of. Actually, there will be a semblance of uniformity, which is very important, right? Because now all the properties now will be harmonized into one uniform system of titling. You understand? Yeah. So that makes it easier for transactions to take place. It's easier for even the government itself to keep track of those titles, because, for example, there's a title. Where there are only 2 registries in Mombasa and in Nairobi. So even if the property is in Kericho, if that property was transferred to that person, the present owner, during the period when the government was using that particular lease, that titling system, then it means you only have 2 titles, Mombasa and Nairobi. Right? So now it makes it complicated.
But Ardhisasa is making it.
It is making it easier. Yeah, it's a slow process, but I think it's getting better with time. Like every single time, it just gets easier for you to use the platform. Yeah.
We've gone deep.
Tumeenda
sana.
Because
I'm learning.
Titling, it's complex.
But Sasa, let's go to owning property. Now I have decided property for me, let's say for you property is going to be a house, and for me it's going to be land. So what documents do I need to verify for, let's say now I want this land? What do I do in terms, like in legal terms now? What do I need to bring to you? Where can I find you? What should I check for? You know, there's a lot going on, and I don't want to veer off like Nibiwe or something like that. What should I verify?
Okay. So I'll answer that question in two parts. There's what you need to verify on the ground, right? And then there's the actual legal documentation that will get you through to the process of transferring the property in your favor, right? So the first one, I think it's important for you to just visit the site.
One in exist, man.
One exist. You see, usually people sometimes they get into a bus wanapelekwa mahali wanaambiwa tunauza hii shamba. You won't remember where that is. Honestly. You don't even know that they own it. So the first step is just go and visit the site. You know, I think you need to, if you go to a development and it's actually a development, you have some faith that these people don't just up and go.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's the first step. The second step is, do they have a registered office? Kikiumana utaenda wapi? You know, and if it's a company, who are the directors? You get, are you seeing them there? Is their name featuring anywhere? And now I'll segue now into the actual documents. So if it's most time it's a company selling the property. So you need to verify the status of the company, right? This is done through a certificate of registration. That's how you know this company is called
This and this.
this and this and this. This is the company number. Now you extract the name and the company number. You're able to do a company search. Then now you'll know the directors, right? Is the company existing? Yes. Have you gotten the company search? Yes. The next step, you know the directors. Are you able to get their IDs and KRA pins? Yes. Right.
All this is public information.
It is not public information, but it is information that ought to be given if someone is purchasing. Yes, because like for a company search, you have to pay some money on BRS. Yeah, so you'll have to log into the company's registry. It's called Business Registration Service. You pay $650 and then you get the company search. It gives you all the information. Yeah, all the directors, whether the company has taken any loans to build. It gives you a fair bit of information. Yeah. So a good developer will have no problem giving you these things. Yeah. The other thing now is the title documentation. Do they have a copy of title? If the answer is yes, can they give it to you?
So that you do a search.
So that you do a search.
Yeah.
So now you see the story now goes back to doing the search so that you can ascertain the owner. Now, any title that was passed procedurally in the right way will always have the person to whom it is registered in the name of. Doesn't matter which regime of title it is. And that's now where you start corroborating the information.
Okay.
So title inafaa kusoma jina hiyo kampuni inauza. Na kama haisomi, kwa nini?
Jusi yao.
That's now, sasa ni question mark ya kwanza. So unauza kitu ya mtu mwingine.
Na tuseme sasa ni Masi ananiuzia shamba, what do
like
I
an
do?
individual.
So now as an individual, it's actually easier because now you visit the site again. If it's land, ushago mmependana, mmesema nataka nikupe hii, nataka nikuzie. So you go and you see it, you sit down, you agree this is the amount. Like, okay, let me see the title, let me see your ID number, the name on the ID, the name of the title. Then that's easy. That's easier.
It's easier.
That's
I feel for
easier.
individual it's easier.
It's easier, yes, because you're just dealing with one person. But with a company, you're dealing with the company itself, and you don't know who else owns the company, because sometimes there are companies that are owned by other companies. So in this company such that you did, you will see the company, but also one of the shareholders is another company, right? And sometimes the property is not registered in the name of the company that's actually selling. So I think the one thing that has to be important that you have to consider all the time, make it make sense. The story
It has to make sense.
lazima make sense. So if okay, fine, it's not you who's selling it to me that's on the title. So who is this person?
Who is this person selling
Yes,
it to?
who is it?
Will
Yeah,
I
it's a
have
company.
problem? Do they even know they are selling this land?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So that now all that I've described is called due diligence. Yeah, it's
Tumongelelea
due diligence every other episode.
due diligence. It's important. Lazima ufanye homework. You have to do your homework.
Lawyer amekwambia ufanye homework.
Lazima ufanye homework, and the first step is just get a lawyer. Yeah.
Kabla tuanze get a lawyer,
For someone like me, I think Nikta get to a lawyer because all of
this
that,
is
the
a
homework
bit
can be
crazy.
done.
Yes.
Me, kuna kitu umesema title deed, and I think many Kenyans, they know Niki have a title deed, I've owned that land. Is that always the case though?
Yes, yes and no.
Tuambie yes, alafu tuambie.
It's not black and white.
It's not black and white. Yes, because first of all, allow me to get into a bit of legal jargon.
But ukwe tu polite kiasi.
Kidogo
Wow. Tu. For us nanwakili.
Yeah, so a title, a certificate of title, is held to be as evidence of ownership of property. So, and now if you have that in mind, and then now you read the right to property in our constitution, 2010, it's difficult for someone to challenge a title that has been duly registered
Under you.
in your favor. You get Edna or Mercy. Yeah. But now the problems usually start coming where the due process was not followed before. So let's say this land has had prior transactions and maybe some of them are fraudulent, right? You have your title, yes. But if any of those steps were fraudulent and it is proven that that property was acquired fraudulently and illegally, then that title can be revoked through court. It's not easy, but it just means that goes back to the part of kufanya homework. Yeah, if you schemed on doing your homework properly, then you won't be able to find out these things, right? And because it's a procedure is important. Yeah, it's draining and tiresome, but it's very important.
Yeah,
it's very important. But that's usually the only time that a title can be revoked, even though it's in your name. The other time is maybe if government wants to acquire it. You know, for example, they just decide they want to do a road.
Yeah.
They just want to do a road, or they want to do a railway, or any other public utility.
Because I've seen it happen.
Yeah, it's called compulsory acquisition. So basically, government can come to you and tell you, sasa kuna hii plan hapa.
Na nikikata ama I'm not allowed to kata.
Hauwezi kata. You can go to court and stop it, but eventually government has that power to lawfully do it. So they'll come to you and they'll tell you that this land has been demarcated to do XYZ. So we're going to do a road through here. It's a public utility, but they will compensate you for that.
Usually
you'll be compensated. You'll be compensated for that.
Ule Mkenya nini.
Lakini pia unaweza piga kelele,
upige kelele alafu tolewa hapo bila pesa. How about that?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Umeongelea public land. Are there different types of land in Kenya?
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. I'll go back to the constitution. I won't go too deep into it.
Yeah.
But there
Tafadhali.
ni tatu. So there's public land. Public land is what I was describing. So this is land that is and how do I call it in a very simple way? Land that is owned by government or a state corporation. You saw, I think a few weeks ago, squatters being evicted from KPLC land. That's government land, but it's registered under KPLC, right? So any land that is owned by a state organ, a state agency, a state corporation, that's public land. Hiyo ni mali ya serikali. The other one is community land, still under the Constitution of Kenya. Ini shamba ya Masai. It's land that is used by people
in the community
who share similar culture or ethnicity.
Okay, give us a
because nikisema land in Meru is community land. Niende nichukue ajirani wangu.
Market iko.
No, okay, if it's a market, then it's most probably going to be
public land.
It's public. This is like, I think, like land in Kajiado, for example. This is land that hata haina title. It doesn't even have a title number. It's not been demarcated for any purpose. It's just community land. It's regulated by the Community Land Act. So basically, this is for communities that derive some form of benefit from it. So kama ni Masai, they graze the animals on it, or others that use it for different things. You know, if it's a shrine.
Nikona.
Uko na swali.
Ebu nikuulize. You said it's needed by the Community Land Act.
Yeah.
And if people want to come, because unajua tumesikia ma stories za watu
which
wanataka
people?
kugrab mashamba za mashule na nini.
So now, if kama ni ya shule, most probably it's public land. It's public land, and the thing now is, you see, we have very good laws, by the way. I think if someone just sat and studied all our laws, they make sense. As in, that law refers to that one and that refers to the other one. Of course, the constitution is at the top, but there are all these other acts of parliament that actually make a lot of sense. The problem is that now, through weak regulatory systems, that's when now you hear
Land has been
grabbed.
But
right?
is community land safe?
It is safe because safe is relative, because you don't know who has the power tomorrow to just come and take it, right? But you see, now that's land that is fraudulently acquired. That person that acquired it fraudulently cannot now pass it on to someone else. You get, because it's fraudulently acquired. Yeah. So I think the element of fraud is very important, because then it can invalidate a lot of things. Yeah, a fair bit of illegal land acquisitions is just because of fraud.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can the government take up community land wakijisikia tu?
Wanaweza. Actually, government can take any land, private, public, or community land wakijisikia.
So what protects the community land?
Because government is, government isn't, in our head, government is like an institution. But government is people.
Government is, and now government is national government and county government. So community land is managed by the county governments, and usually county governments work together with the national government through the Ministry of Lands, and so there's a bit of protection there. And usually this land it's land that has been left idle for a long time. So yes, the national government can come and say we want to do this, and even the county can prepare a plan and want to use land. Or for example, if again land was illegally acquired, it can revert to the county. Yeah, if it was to be used as community land. Yeah, so that can happen. But you see, in the same way someone can take community land, same way they can take public land. Also the same way you just hear people who they've been living in a house for 40 years and then suddenly someone just starts coming and demolishing it. Yeah.
Is there a place, tutatoka kwa community land soon, but is there a place I can go check if this is community land? Are the SASA type?
No, you can't. But you can, because it's under the counties. That's the first place to check. Usually the counties, but I think also, you see, because there's no title per se
for
it, you have to go to the county government office, and assuming they have good records, then at least you can have some answers there.
Okay. Alafu, so public, community,
and
then now private. Private is now owned by individuals, corporate, or a person. Corporate is a company. Yeah, so private land now can be held now in leasehold or private or freehold. Yeah, as we have discussed before. And just those three.
Nataka flex kidogo. Sisi learned friends, me and Edna over here. Yeah, we talked about Ndungu report, and since we are in public land, tuliambia watu Ndungu report is, it's a report done by it's a committee that was set up kitambo to check on land that is registered, that should be public land, but ni watu walienda waka grab. Able to shed more light, because now people think here we are
just two girls
talking, but actually we know
stuff. We know our stuff.
Yes.
You're very smart.
Two very learned girls. Yes. Not many people know about that report. So I think, in simple terms, that committee that was established to ascertain which parcels of land had been gazetted as public land and were grabbed for private use. So these were forests, there were, public utilities like schools, or just maybe land close to a railway line, or to, I think Kenya Railways is one of the biggest holders of public land. Vitu kama hizo. So all that is contained there. So as part of the due diligence I was talking about, any good lawyer will also check there. You'll do your searches in the registry and everything, but also now you'll check the Ndungu report. Just to see whether the property that you're buying has any affiliation to it, if it was subdivided later to be what you have now, or if it's actually a parcel that's there. Yeah, and usually those properties, people don't like to touch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you take it to a bank and tell them you want to use it as a collateral, they'll be like,
Ngumu sana.
maze pole.
What
Yeah,
happens
really.
if someone realizes
Midway, like, who do I blame
And
someone?
why?
Tunaweza shika mtu?
alafu why because you had said if county government realizes that you took community land, they can take it. Why hasn't someone taken all these lands in the Ndungu report?
The thing is the difficulty in implementing the recommendations of
Given of that report.
because that report has very nice recommendations. You know, I think in Kenya we don't have a failure of IT systems. Like we have people who are sharp. If you read that report,
It's a very
well
powerful
done.
report.
It's very well
Yeah.
done. The thing is now, if you implement it, this person is maybe has political ties. So even if you take him to court, for example,
So what?
yeah, you get,
Ay.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Kenya.
Yeah, so it's a touchy issue and it's painful, but I think it's just one of those things I think we aspire to get better as. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, what is a mistake that people usually make when they are purchasing property in terms of, like in legal terms basically?
Like a legal mistake.
Like a legal mistake yenye watu hufanya. Because I know itakuja tu kutouch on doing your homework. But what is a mistake people make? When you wonder people wamepatikana, they have bought land from someone who's grabbed, or a common mistake people make?
The first one, I'll repeat, not doing your homework. Because a mistake is not a legal one until things go left.
Hey,
Preach.
Yeah.
Hiyo rudia watu wasikie.
Because you see, if let's say you've bought property, somehow you paid the person who says they're selling it to you, they've accepted the money, they've given you the house, you're living there, you're okay, right? Maybe you lived there for 10, 15, 20 years, you're fine. But now the problem now comes is 20 years down the line, you're living there, and suddenly someone tells you that this land was built on my father's land, for example, right? You don't have a title to it. You just went and paid whoever. You try and call that person, mteja,
Amali.
15 years ago.
or they're not there. If it was a company, you go to their office, it's
Patani supermarket.
hata iko. Maybe even the building isn't there. It was they did a renovation. So you can remember mazee alikuwa anakaa hapa ndani.
Who are you going to tell?
Kumbuka the details from 7 a.m.
Yeah, you remember everything.
You remember everything.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's a legal mistake, but I think to answer your question more correctly is, I think I'm saying they're just mistakes that give rise to legal repercussions.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course the first one is fake documents, fake sellers, land that doesn't exist, property that doesn't exist. So if it's an apartment, it's different because you can tell apartment 16F, it's on 16th floor. That's what I'm buying. But if it's land, you can't quite tell. You know, and especially if you skip on the first part of doing your homework, you can't quite tell. And the problem is, because procedure is so important, the mistakes as to ascertaining the ownership, that is very important. Who am I buying this property from? It is extremely fundamental. Whether don't be afraid to ask all the questions. Be that person who is annoying the salesperson all the time. You know, you're asking questions, director ni nani, anaishi wapi, you know, just know all those things. Because the more questions you ask, the more answers you get. Even if you don't get the answers, you're still getting answers, because now you're getting
An answer.
an answer.
Yeah,
There's
you're
a true
getting-
picture of the person you're dealing with.
No answer is an answer.
Yeah, no answer is an answer. So if they tell you, if it's a developer or a land seller, these people who subdivide plots, and they tell you, ni mzee anakuanga sijui Kajiado sijui wapi, ako wapi, at a sign, you get, just say you want to see him, and you don't have to buy the property.
I think procedure is such a...
Yes.
Procedure is like...
Yes, procedure.
It's the main thing.
It's very important, and now that procedure starts with ascertaining the owner. That's the
biggest
fundamental
thing.
Yeah.
So
Ascertaining
if
ownership.
anything, for you to avoid a mistake that will cause legal repercussion, ascertain the owner, ascertain the documents, let them not be fake.
Yes. Yes.
Our problem as Kenyans mainly is liking to do things faster.
Kuna deal hapa.
Microwave, kuna deal hapa,
Kuna deal hapa,
nataka
quick. Alafu hiyo story
umalize.
ya unaona ni 500k unaambiwa hii 5 years itakuwa mita 3.
And then another thing I said last episode, Kenyans don't like paying their professionals.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't want to pay that lawyer because you think you're paying them too
Yes.
much. Oh, you are going to pay in the future
You still
millions.
pay. You'll pay so much, or you'll even lose. So let's say you've bought land. There are no legal repercussions yet. You work hard. You put together some money. You put up something. Let's say like a good establishment, a commercial property. You have tenants. You lease it out. Then 10 years down the line, someone just comes and it's like, this is the title to the property. You have to get out of my property.
And it's
Trespass.
true actually.
Yeah.
Ukienda
So-
tu ufanye search unapata hiyo ndio the true title.
we hata ujui search ni nini kwanza juu kufanya
Hukufanya.
ule mbwa tu na msee nauza
Kuna mtu najua anauza shamba.
na ni deal fit iko karibu na barabara iko sawa nini
Title
Yeah.
uletewe.
title uletewe, you don't ascertain whether it's really not. Yeah, you take possession. Taking possession means you occupy.
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 Hebu nikuulize swali kabla tuende kwa the next question which I have. Is the law, are they wanasikia story ya mtu kama huyu kweli? When you go to court, will they actually hear your case? Will you go there and say ignorance? Ama watakwambia
You can. It's called an innocent purchaser for value. So basically you just say mimi niliuziwa hii nikanunua. Hivyo tu. That's your argument. Now for you, the only recourse that you have is you go after the person who sold it to you. Right? But at that point you're so disadvantaged, you're basically just trying to get
by, honestly.
to get something, uhurumiwe tu. Because first you have taken possession, you have actually you're trespassing on someone else's property because you're not the registered proprietor of that land. You remember we had said you have to be registered as a proprietor. You're not registered
For you
as a
to show
proprietor.
their ownership.
Now you'll be asked, okay, show us the transfer. There's a very important document called a transfer document. That transfer, it's an instrument that transfers ownership from one person to the next, right? Where's the transfer? Hauna. Where's the agreement for sale? Hauna. Yeah, so there you're just clutching at straws. And I think it's not a good place to be.
It's not a good
especially after you've developed it. Let's say you're even getting rent from it. Yeah, so now you have to explain to your tenants, maze,
Poleni, guys.
I'm a fraud.
Umesema hiyo story ya transfer documents.
Yeah.
And sana nataka tuingie kwa the legal steps. Like step by step of someone who wants to purchase property or land here in Kenya.
Yeah.
What is it? What are the steps legally like?
Okay, so prior to the legal ones, there is of course identifying the property.
The
that you're
property,
buying
yeah.
and agreeing on the commercial terms, right? Because now when you come to an advocate, you'll tell them, I want to buy this property. I want to buy it for XYZ amount. These are the terms. This is how I'll pay. So that's the first step, agreeing on the commercial terms. Because lawyers don't discuss commercial terms. Kazi yetu tu ni kuandika ile ambayo tumeambiwa. Sawa? Because we are representing your interests. So once an advocate does if there is the purchaser or the buyer, the lawyer has to do the due diligence and so on and so forth, and they bring the results to you. So if it's good, if it's a clean title, you proceed. If not, they'll tell you. If you choose to go ahead, that's on you, right? The next step now is drafting the agreement for sale. In simple terms, it's just a contract. It's just a contract. There you have a sale of car agreement. It's a contract basically that sets out the terms for purchase of this property. Very simple.
This is both property and land.
Property.
Zote.
Shamba, apartment. Yeah, zote. Now, in the agreement for sale, there are very crucial elements that must appear. The parties. Seller, buyer. Very important. The property being sold. What state is it in? There's a term called, allow me to use a bit of jargon, called possession. Basically, kuna mtu uko ndani ama hakuna. So for example, if you're selling agricultural land in Oshago, haina mtu, so it's vacant possession, right? And that's the most ideal. If not, if there are, let's say, if like there's a factory inside there, or like it's an apartment that has people, they have to get out so that you can give vacant possession. Basically, you just have to give that property in a manner that can be used to the new buyer. So all those things are contained in the agreement for sale, right? Then once the terms of the agreement for sale are met, usually payment of deposit and the balance of the purchase price, once those conditions are met, the next thing is set out in the agreement for sale still is the completion date. The completion date is where we exchange documents for money. So pesa imelipo imeisha, then there are documents, you know, ID, KRA pin, all those things, rates, certificate, rent, the title, the original title, and so on and so forth, depending on the status of the property. Then once that's done, that agreement for sale has finished its work, because it's basically a contract that allows parties to contract. All right. So now after that, the purchaser, the buyer, will now register the transfer in their favor. They're the ones who do that. Now, as they do that, before they do that, they have to get all these documents. The seller needs to have signed that transfer document, and it's a standard form. It's a standard form that we use. You just put the name, the details of the parties who are buying and selling, and the details of the property, and that's it. Then now you present the transfer and the title to the registry for the transfer to be registered in the name of the buyer, now yourself.
Where do I get this transfer form?
It's you can get it online. It's, I think there are two forms. There's one for companies, it's LRA 49, and another one LRA 33. Yeah, so it's a standard form. Hakuna story mingi. It actually, it's very clear. Yeah, and so once the registrar is convinced that there's no fraud going on, hakuna ukora inaendelea, they register it, and then now your name is put in the title.
In the title now.
Now you have good title, right? But before that, I just remembered there's the issue of stamp duty. You have to pay stamp duty. Yeah, 4% for properties in urban centers or urban areas, and then 2% for rural. Yeah, so you have to pay, and it's 4% of the value of the property. Yeah. And
Okay.
then now,
Umesema? Agreement
for sale, very important.
And inside that, everything, all those documents.
Yeah, the documents, the terms, how you're going to pay. You can have an agreement for sale, by the way, if the buyer and the seller are ready. They're willing to do this thing in 1 month. I have the money, all of it. You have the property. Okay, I sign it. In 1 month, you have the money. You give me the documents, I go and register the transfer. Simple. There are some that lipa pole pole. You can take 180 months, depending on what the parties agree. The only thing is that it has to be a valid contract. So that means the parties contracted voluntarily. That's, yeah, walikaa tu chini wakaongea wakasema, this is what we are agreeing, these are the terms.
Not under duress.
Yeah.
So tumesema agreement for sale. Alafu tuende tufanye story ya transfer.
Yes, agreement for sale now, then there's the completion document. There's a completion date when all the terms agreed in the agreement for sale must be met. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that detail is also very important.
Okay.
Yeah, in an agreement for sale, in any transaction. Because now after that, that's when now you can say you're almost there. Because now after that, it's now the registration of the transfer.
Of the transfer?
Yes, in the name of the purchaser.
So that's it basically in terms of legal and all that.
The legal steps, yes.
Oh, that's
kidogo kabla tuendelee, kuna kitu alisema pale vacant possession na nataka turudie. There's something now you say, now let's say I am buying, the purpose of this, okay, one thing I know is if you're buying agricultural land and you want to convert, ama to just selling, land control board has to
get consent.
You have to get consent. So watu wanataka kuuza mashamba zao, shags, you need to know that land control board needs to give you consent.
Yes,
so
consent, yeah.
You're now standing many. But now there's something you said, if this land has property on it, it has apartments.
Yes. So, let's say you're buying a farm, right? But you want to use the farm for farming. But now inside the farm, there's tractors, there's staff who are living there, there's farm implements, plant machinery, all those things. That's not vacant possession. Because now if you get in, now you have to bear the cost of not only removing these things, but also figuring out where you're going to put them. Right?
Okay.
So it is the obligation of the seller to give you vacant possession. That's for land. If it's an apartment or an office, for example, you can't sell an apartment that people are living in.
Wait, what?
So the seller has to chase people away.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then what happens?
Unless it is agreed upon,
That
In the
they can
agreement.
still
yes,
stay.
that they can still stay if they're tenants. You know, if it's like a commercial, it's a commercial property, then you have to either kick out the tenants or you tell them there's a change of yeah.
owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But usually vacant possession basically is just you're giving me this property or you're selling to me this property. I have to be able to use it, take possession of it and use it in a manner that I intended it to be. So like the example of the farm. If now all those things are there, you see that property won't be entirely useful to you because now you have tractors and things you have to bear.
You
the
have to
cost.
move them.
You have to move them. Yeah.
So vacant possession is the easiest way. It's easy. It's an easy way out when you're doing this thing.
Non-vacant.
It's not easy. It's just it's like the way it's done. Yeah, you give vacant possession to the buyer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually a term in the agreement.
Okay, now we have all this. We know the processes, but what are some of the red flags? And when there's this guy on TikTok when he tells a story and then there's something wrong, he waves a red flag. So when I'm doing this procedure, what thing can I see? And then
you put a red flag.
Ujitoe na mapema before it.
Okay, so now first I'll assume that you know what you're doing.
I do now. Now
I know.
I assume
we know what you're
doing. I'll also assume that you have a lawyer who's helping you on it.
You now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So remember, we're about to cause havoc in the city.
Tuko na wakili.
So the first red flag is fake title. So you get a copy of the title because usually you ask for a copy of the title from the seller. You do a search on it. So if you can't find the file or that title number is not
Ardhi sasa haijui.
Kama ni Nairobi ardhi sasa haijui. Ama you've gone to the registry, they can't find it in the registry records. That's the first red flag. You wave it.
Tungekuwa na the flag.
Tungekuwa na flag tunafanya
Yeah.
Red flag.
You wave it. The second one is an unknown seller. Unaambiwa mwenye hii shamba anakuanga US mahali lakini amenikubalisha niuze. That happens, but you have to see a document. It's called a power of attorney. That it can authorize you to
Wait, so I need a power of attorney if someone is selling
on your behalf, acting on your behalf
okay.
in a legal capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things can't be faked.
Yeah.
It has to be registered. It's you. Okay, fine. You'll ask him. Iko wapi? Nilete. Sasa kama ajue ni nini? That's you see we're looking at red flags.
By the way unamuuliza na ajui hata power of attorney.
Our fraudsters wanajua kenye wanafanya. Unaniambia haezi kuwa na a fake power of attorney somewhere.
Anaweza kuwa nayo.
Can you legitimize a power?
But a duly registered power of attorney has it's usually registered as a document. So there's a way you can look at it and you'll confirm that this document is authentic, right? Yeah.
But I'll need my lawyer.
I'll need my lawyer to help me.
Michael,
and by looking at it kuangalia, yeah, it's because you look at it now from a legal perspective. Was it registered in the right way? When was it registered? Was it drafted in the right way? Is it specific or is it general? There are all these small things you can look at. But that's just one of the red flags. The other one is of course now the owner not being available and nobody knows them, right? The other one is someone who doesn't want to get into an agreement with you. They're telling you know what, just pay me whatever, then you can start living there.
Hataki agreement for sale.
Hataki agreement for sale. That's how people end up becoming squatters.
Yeah,
you just took possession of property, because taking possession means you're there physically present. You've put your structures, your sheds, whether it's a permanent or temporary structure. That has happened. But so you've taken possession, but you don't have ownership. So someone who just tells you just take possession, someone who's not willing to do any documentation,
Surely,
Yeah,
guys.
those three are like the biggest red flags.
Yeah, because
yeah.
imagine I'm coming to tell you I want to buy this piece of land and then you're telling me, weka tu yenye uko nayo.
Yes.
Surely,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
See,
so-
wangalie title.
Yeah.
But pay your
Please.
professionals. I feel like most people don't want to go through all that because they have lives they are living, they have jobs, they have
Yeah.
I don't know what. So instead of you kuharakisha vitu because you don't want to pay someone, pay.
Yeah. Yeah, just be a professional. Actually, think of it as getting a nice insurance cover for yourself. Yeah, pay a qualified advocate. They'll be able to take you through the steps. It's expensive, but cheap is expensive
Wacha
also.
tutongelelea hiyo bei huko mbele utuambie how much it is.
It's that thing where people who have money, like to make money, you have to use money.
You have to spend, not lose. You're spending.
You spend it.
Yeah.
You spend it, but you're spending it wisely.
Yeah.
Because you'll find people who are usually conned, you'll hardly get the moneyed people. Because
Yeah.
these people have learned to pay for services.
And they do their homework. Yeah, if they can't do it themselves, they'll pay someone who's good at it. Then that person will do the homework.
Na tunaongelelea fraud. Mi nataka tuongelele is the common land scams that are in Kenya. Because sawa basi, okay, sitaki kufanya my homework, but at least nikange nikijua. Land scam.
That is someone who's scamming me.
That's someone who's scamming me.
Scamming me, yes. So actually, yeah, those, I think if you look at those three main flags,
Wee.
Oi.
you're able to tell. The other thing I think I see this sometimes is people who are selling you to things very quickly. It's like a hot potato, like you have to get it while it's hot. It's land, it's not going anywhere. Yeah, so there are these companies that believe in selling property very, very fast. Like they create this scarcity.
Scarcity mindset.
Not now. It's a good business trick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You create scarcity, but in that hurry, now you stop. You don't do your homework. You skip out on
Procedure.
Yeah. On ascertaining the ownership, getting a lawyer and giving him time to do his homework, his due diligence, and so on and so forth. So, the thing with scams is they can be high level. It can also be a company, a good developer. We've had them.
Tumesikia the stories.
Tumesikia na stories ziko na bado ziko mpaka sahi. It's a developer, yes. It's just that maybe they misused their finances. Maybe their corporate governance was not good, right? So it's a scam. And it's a company. They have an office. You can tell the directors. You know who's going to sign all the documents, the agreements. You know all that. But because of poor management of resources, poor corporate governance structures, then you end up with a situation where someone has paid for a product and they can't get it.
You can't get it.
Yeah. So scams are not just those low level ones. They also go all the way to the top. Yeah.
So what do I do in such
Okay,
a scenario? Like, I've done everything that I could, but it so happens that now whatever is happening is beyond what I could control. What do I do?
Realize
Okay, so it depends on which step of the transaction you're at. So if let's say you haven't paid anything, you're just about to sign the letter of offer, or you're just about to sign the agreement for sale, you can pull out, right? That's if you haven't signed anything, you haven't paid any money, you can pull out. Yeah, just say, hapa, nikubaya. Just turn and go back to where you came from.
And if I've paid now.
Now, if you've paid a deposit, you can ask for the deposit back, right? And cancel the terms of the agreement for sale. Just say that you're no longer willing to go on with the terms of the agreement for sale, and you cancel it. Usually, there's a cancellation cost, a percentage, 10, 15%, 5%, depends on the agreement. So you take that hit, you get your money back. Now the next step is, now if you've paid full purchase price, now that's where it gets painful. You can ask for your money, right? Again, you get that hit on the penalty. If it comes back, good. If it doesn't come back, and you don't even have a transfer,
Oh my God.
you haven't signed a transfer that you can use to register the property in your name, then I think you have to go to court.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
what I see.
Yeah, you have to go to court and get a court order. It's called an inhibition order, where now you're able to say you will inhibit further dealings on this property until XYZ conditions are met. But you have to get that court order, take the court order, and now take it to a registrar, who will now take it to the land registry, who will now a land registrar will register that inhibition, right? You can also register something called a caution. A caution is basically, say, it's like a caveat. I'm sure you've heard that term. Yeah, it's basically a caveat. Yeah.
So in Amanisha, when I register all these things, they can't do anything with that.
Yes.
They can't do, like, everything.
If you've gotten the court order, yes, the vitu zimestop. Now, vitu zikistop, sasa ni kwanza sasa mali vitu zimesimamia. You know, so do you get a refund of the purchase price? Do you get your title? Yeah, so depending on the circumstance. So there are cases in court about other developers where people were in different stages. Some even had taken possession. They're living there, but titles haven't come out. Yeah, so they're still living there, but they don't have the titles. There are others who the houses were never built, right? But they've paid.
Mi nataka tuongelele your story ya title. Now let's say, because now this is very straightforward. If let's say dealing with Edna, I've paid tumefanya sale agreement, tumefanya hiyo transfer, mimi nimeenda nimeregister the transfer, registrar ameenda amenichangia title, hiyo tumefanya na
Register
in my name now, hiyo iko sawa. So what in a company, because now hizo za companies zenye watu wenye wanaenda alafu mnapata mumeingia na hamjapewa title, ni companies that say after everyone is nini, we are going to give you ebosa yo. Yeah, I've never understood it actually.
Ideally, you see, if you're selling a parcel of land, you need to have that title for it. And you see, you're not buying the whole chunk of land.
Just buying
you're not buying the whole parcel.
Yeah.
You're buying this small parcel, and that was in your agreement. But you see, I think because you're never able to ascertain whether, usually I think that's when subdivision is being done. Yeah, especially those land buying companies. It's not a bad thing. There are companies that do it very well. They get the property, they subdivide, and then have the titles ready, right? But now there are some who don't want to incur that cost of subdivision because it's a fairly elaborate process. And at that point, that's you hear that story. What you're saying is, let's not. We will do the titles once all the parcels have been bought. What if they're never bought, right? So you find, but now they give you like a document that says once the titles come out, you will get, this number. If you bought 2 parcels, you'll get, the titles for the 2 parcels.
For your 2 parcels.
Yeah. So, the problem with that is that you'll even take possession. You can even start living there. You can start. You can
doing your stuff
there. But now the problem is that you don't have legal ownership. You're not a registered proprietor. Yeah. So you've taken possession. Yes. You followed the steps, yes, but
now
that final ingredient of being a registered proprietor, you don't have.
Apartments have sectional titles.
Yes.
So what's the case in apartments now? If I want to buy by the upper, we have a standing joke. I'm an apartment girly. Edna ni mtu wa mashamba, so nafurahia. Mimi niko na mashida, nataka kujua apartment yangu, sectional title yangu. For people who don't know what sectional titles are.
I don't know. Some people usually think when you buy an apartment, imeishia kwa the cash, you don't get a title, you don't get anything. It was that whole discourse on Twitter about how Kikuyus don't like buying apartments because they can't see a documentation. Guys, kuna documentation, kuna title.
Yeah. Actually, if you go into land buying with that notion, title liko wapi, you'll actually have a good
maisha yako itakuwa tamu.
Yeah, because title liko wapi, kama sina title silipi. Yeah. So yes, you're right. Apartments have sectional titles, though not all of them. So there's this category of apartments that are built inside developments called mixed-use developments, MUDs, where they're exempt from the conversion, right? So they have how do I say this? They have subleases, right? And the sublease, as it's a sublease, so the lease is a lease on the mother title, and the mother title is leased to the developer.
Okay.
Yeah, is leased to the developer upon payment of the annual rent to the government of Kenya. Yeah, so for a sublease, that's actually your title document, right? It's a sublease because it's a lease on. It's like a further lease. It's a further lease. So the big developers, I think, have that because in their development there's a mall, there's a.
Let's use our sponsors of the day.
Yes.
Let us
and
use our
to
sponsors
Rivers.
of the day. Central
Yes.
Real Estate.
Yes.
Tutumie to Rivers.
Tutumie to Rivers
Na
kama
tutumie apartment iko ndani ya to Rivers. And actually you're going to put it in the over it's Riverbank apartment.
Riverbank apartment.
So tutumie to Rivers and we
Riverbank.
I have a unit on the 17th floor of Riverbank apartment.
Yes.
Phase 2.
Yes.
Okay, tuanze.
So umefanya kila kitu, umefanya agreement for lease, umesign, nyumba imejengwa, imeisha, completion is development is done, you everything is okay. Now you'll register a sublease in favor of yourself now, right? Now you'll be the registered owner. That sublease is a title. For all intents and purposes, it's a title.
It's a title.
Why?
Everybody mmesikia hiyo.
Yeah, it's a title. And usually I know Centum has very good advocates who see through to the registration of the sublease.
Like Michael,
in the name of the purchasers.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, in the name of the purchasers. But now for apartments that are built, for example, now in Nairobi, you've seen all these apartments that are coming up. Almost all parcels in Nairobi have been listed for conversion. So after conversion, then the titles that are going to come out are going to be sectional titles. Right? So a sectional title, basically, it's like the new version of a sublease. But instead of getting a sublease is a thick document. Yeah, you actually get a title. Kikuyu wanapenda.
Kila mtu akona title.
Unapata kila mtu akona title. But it's still a management company that manages the common areas. They're the ones who even deal with the renewal of the lease, when that term expires. And they manage all the affairs of the apartment. But now the only difference is, has the property been converted or has it not? If it's not been converted, why hasn't it? The developer, either the owner hasn't done it or it's exempt, like a mixed use development. They usually exempt from that.
So but when you hawajui, us learned babes, I have to be learned girl. Like us learned girls, we know sectional titles have inaitwaje?
Or the
georeferencing.
Yeah.
So it's like you have a title. Okay, siulizi swali guys. Ninasema. You have your title literally imechukua the position of your house kwa hewa.
Yes, it's there. Yeah, it's georeferenced. Yes.
Shamba yako ati shamba. Sorry. Apartment yako iko
Riverbank
17th floor.
Pale juu.
Inaonyesha.
Yes. And now the other key difference is that for you to sell, transfer, or use the property as collateral, you don't have to get the consent of the head lessor, which is the owner. You don't have, but previously in subleases you must have the consent of those. So I think it's the sectional titles. They were under the Sectional Properties Act of 2020. They really helped in making the transactions easier because now once you get that title,
it's okay.
Ni yako.
Yeah.
As long as the mother title has the term of lease still there, it hasn't expired and it's being renewed, then it's easier for you to deal with.
Meskia apartments ziko na titles, everyone. It's okay, you can relax.
Na sublease ni title.
Kuna kitu umesema sublease. Previously, sublease, if you wanted to do transactions with it, you had to go to the head.
Yes.
Now
you still have to do it because
so nikiwa na yangu
just so kama yako, and it's actually it's a simple document. So for example, kama ni unataka ku transfer, you see it's in your name. You want to transfer it to Edna. What you do is that there's a page at the back where you just get the consent, the director
of the mother lease.
The owner of the mother title signs it, and that's it. Yeah, unless so uko na mtu mwenye ataki kusign. But it's a very easy process. It's not complex. If you're taking a mortgage or a loan with it, you're using that as collateral, there's also a page that you get the consent.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically about consent.
I have a question or something that I know people want to hear. Tunakaribia June. tunafaa kulipa taxes zetu.
Taxes.
Haya. I have my land. Everything is okay. It's now been a year. We followed all processes.
Yeah.
But kuna taxes.
Kuna
What
taxes? Na taxes ni mingi.
Stop.
Mention tu alafu seme zile zenye zinaweza ingiza. Okay, zote zinaweza ingiza mtu kwa shida. Sema tu zote.
Aya, so tutaanza na ile muhimu kwanza. When you're transferring, we use that example between Mercy to Edna. Lazima talipa stamp duty 4%.
Okay, cool.
4%.
See, that mi pia nililipa.
Wewe ulilipa?
But sa pia lazima alipe.
Lazima pia alipe.
Wow.
Na usipolipa, nothing is going to happen. Like for real, nothing.
Ni hivyo sasa.
It won't be registered in your name. Like
wait. So
like
it won't,
real.
nothing will happen for sure.
Yeah, like nothing will happen. For real.
Nilikuwa nadhani ukisema nothing will happen is like nothing will happen to me.
No, no transaction, no
transaction will happen.
Yeah,
okay.
Nothing will
Haya,
happen.
stamp duty.
Stamp duty. That's 4%. All right. That's just for the transfer. Now there's an advocate who prepared the agreement for lease. Their services are vertable, so you'll pay VAT on the legal fees.
Wewe sasa.
Right.
Nasikia vile anajitetea.
VAT yake.
They're vertable. Lazima utalipa hiyo. Aya. Now you will also have to pay capital gains tax.
Me mwenye ninauza. Because now imegain.
Yes.
Profit.
Yeah, so you pay this. It's in short form, it's CGT, capital gains tax.
Yeah.
Ilipandishwa ilikuanga 5% kitambo, siku hizi ni 15%.
Nilisikia. Hata tusiongee hiyo story.
Yeah, tuongee hiyo story.
Tunyamazia.
We lipa tu mimi.
Talipa tu
stamp duty na hata nalipa.
Unalipa VAT.
Nalipa VAT.
Wewe
unalipa sasa wewe unalipa nini?
CGT na VAT pia.
Yeah, so those are the direct ones. The indirect ones are just the vertable ones paid by any service provider. Then CGT is payable by you based on like the profit. So let's say you bought it at 20 million, you sold it at 25. So less the cost you used during the transfer, you will pay that 15% on that. So if it's whatever is left is 3.5 million, you'll pay on that amount.
Cost during transfer, which cost is this?
I don't know, maybe now like you paid me.
Yeah.
Minus
all those costs.
Minus
all
the
those
lawyer.
costs.
Okay.
Yeah, all those costs.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically the cost that you used to dispose that asset.
Okay.
Just that. Those are the direct taxes. Now there are other indirect ones now that she will have to pay. If she had a lawyer, she'll have to pay the VAT.
It's okay.
The amount that the lawyer is going to give you, you'll have that amount plus VAT.
I'll pay.
Yeah, then assuming she had been paying all her
Rates.
and
rent.
Yeah, but that will be done by the management company. But the management company will apportion everybody and how much they're supposed to pay. So assuming that has been done, that's fine. If not, then you'll have to top up for her. But at least for development, it's easier because they usually do it for all of them. It's apportioned equally.
Wait, I'm carrying Mercy's costs. Alipe.
Kama alikuwa na arrears.
But nitakuwa nimekulipia. Don't worry about it.
Yes, you're a law-abiding citizen.
Kama alikuwa na arrears. Now, let's say you want to rent it. Watakui rent. You don't want to live there. You'll have to pay monthly rent. It's called MRI.
Monthly rental income tax.
Yes.
How much is it?
It's 7.5%. Yeah, 7.5%.
Mefika 5 taxes.
7.5%. Payable monthly. If you don't have a tenant, you file nil.
Ebu, let me ask you, how many people in this country
do that?
The thing is, it's not a mistake until you're found out. You've ever had people saying your worst mistake is not what you're doing, it's getting caught. Now if you get caught not paying, you'll have to pay. Yeah.
Forever since that.
Imagine that was my uni project. I'm so happy you guys are talking about this. My uni project ilikuwa hiyo reasons for why people landlords in Nairobi hata sikuchagua kwingine reasons why landlords in Nairobi are evading MRI. And I tell you, see what will lipa. And you see the thing is, it's actually a benefit because you don't have to pay any other tax. Yeah, you don't have to pay any other tax from proceeds from that. Ukilipa hiyo 7.5% ni hivyo. And it's on gross rent. So it's not that now you'll pay a caretaker, you'll pay this and that and that. Then you take this amount that's left. Why?
It's on the gross, not on the net.
Hey,
That's
jamani.
that's just how the deal is.
But hao watu wenye wanajenga huku nje, do they know these things ama they know and they don't do it?
It's both. Kuna
Some
wenye
people are
hawajui.
ignorant.
There's some who
Kabisa.
genuinely
Yeah.
don't know until they're slapped with
With a thing.
with a thing from
Because kuna watu najua ni kama hawajui.
kuna watu hawajui lakini pia kuna watu wanajua wanalenga. Yeah. So but I think the thing with taxes is it's always better to be compliant. Yeah,
It's cool because there's a time will come.
Yeah, and it will just come around. Yeah, so
Wow.
just comply, just pay, because if you look at now the inverse of not paying, dodging, utashikwa.
Wow.
You'll probably have to, probably you'll be like, hii ni pesa mob, so you have to take it to court, to dispute that.
And then
So
that's a whole-
that's now you have to pay the lawyers again and so on and so forth. Someone can also challenge if for example like stamp duty. Okay, at least stamp duty utapatikana juu.
Okay, hautakuwa umekuwa
Registered
registered.
yeah, at least that. But now other things like now this MRI lipa tu. Lipa
Na
tu.
nalipa aje? What's the
Wonderful.
process?
By the way.
Now because it's paid to the collector of to the collector of taxes, it's paid by iTax. It's not on AthiPay because Athisasa
It's for the
has
services.
has its own payments
Yeah.
platform called AthiPay. But for MRI unalipanga na iTax. Yeah, but everything else
Stamp
hizo
duty?
zote stamp duty unalipa na AthiPay, Athisasa.
Wait. Land rates, land rent,
Hizo zote.
stamp duty,
Yeah.
capital gains.
Capital gains no.
Capital gains carry.
Yeah.
Capital gains and
And
MRI
yeah.
carry.
Carry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Haya, nini ingine imebaki sasa?
Kama ni hizo.
Nini ingine ni hivyo sasa.
Ni hivyo?
Assuming you're renting it out. Yeah, now if you want to transfer it, the cycle starts again. Ule mwingine analipa 4% hivyo.
That's
Utalipa
easy.
CGT.
I feel like
So it's
now
one
if
off.
you know all of them, like unajua I have to pay this, 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 I just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just
Do it.
Yeah,
So
just do
one off ni stamp duty,
Yeah.
CGT,
So just the example we had between you and Edna, it's 4%. The 4% stamp. That's the most crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most crucial. Because that's the one that now allows the registrar to be content.
make the transfer.
He'll be able to register the interest in Edna's
name.
favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Sawa
Yeah.
basi. Mimi niko sawa. Uko sawa?
I mean niko sawa hapo kwa
fiti.
taxes because
Yeah.
that's what I know people don't comply. Watu hapo.
Sasa zingine tu ni kukataa. Lipa
Na
tu.
kusema tu nil na apartment inafika 17th floor imejaa watu.
Ile sasa utapatikana. Ni sawa lakini siku moja utapatikana.
But watu wa shags, I don't think. Shags?
Watapatikana.
Now it's enforced. It's the rich. I think if you look at if I was KRA, I would
Tax
focus.
the rich.
I would focus my reach on where I know. At least I'll get something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe even there, and also I think it's for properties where you earn not more than 24,000 shillings per month
That's when you
for
pay
rental,
MRI.
Yeah. So anything lower than that, you don't pay the MRI, right? So there's that, and then of course there's always the aspect of enforcement. Watajuaje? Si mtu anatuma tu kwa simu.
Yeah.
Mtumie kwa ina ama anachukua na cash. Itajulikana. Or itajulikana but maybe later or maybe never.
I have a question on now property. Let's say I want to transfer property to my child, like inheritance. How does that look like?
Is the child above 18 or not?
Yes, they are.
If they're above 18,
I have an 18-year-old child and I'm just anyway.
They have to be above 18 because no
Yeah,
one
they
below
must.
18 can own
they
land.
can't own property. They're not. The law does not recognize anybody who's not above the age of 18. So you can. There are different ways you can do it. You can have a family company where when they get to 18, you transfer all the property to this family company, and then now you own it with them. So there you have like shares in that company. So that's one way. You can also do it the old school way. You just transfer. Mwambie, oh yeah, lipa stamp duty. Right?
They have to pay stamp duty even if it's...
Yeah.
Any transfer.
As long as it's a transfer. But now for family companies, you can get an exemption. You can get an exemption. So let's say you two are related. So if you two are related, if you're able to demonstrate that you have the same family, she's transferring property to you. or or let's say both of you have companies, her company is transferring to yours, you can get an exemption. You can apply for an exemption for associated families, associated companies who are families. Yeah. So that can happen, but it's rare. Yeah, so usually people just have a property or properties owned by the company, and then I'll just mtu akifika 18 unamweka shareholder. Yeah.
Any extra taxes I have to pay because it's inherited?
No.
None?
No.
So it's just the basic taxes and
I think inheritance taxes in other jurisdictions, not locally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they just own the property. But now it's not in their name, it's in the name of the company, but it's a family company.
But it's a family company in which they are a shareholder.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Pia hapo lazima kuna stamp duty ya kutransfer shares.
Oh my God. Michael. Rest.
Get a lawyer.
Rest.
Keeping up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Habari ndio hiyo.
Me, I'm so happy.
I'm happy that now
I'm medicated.
People know the taxes they should pay.
Yeah.
People know the red flags they should look out for. People know the due process to follow.
Due diligence
Kila saa sasa tumeita
Fanya homework. Always do your homework. Yeah. Just think of it this way. Before you buy a phone or you buy a product, you check YouTube reviews, you go read reviews, Google reviews, you check Amazon, what people have reviewed it as.
Eva Mugwiru would thrive here.
Yeah.
We have a friend anaitwa Eva. Oh my God.
Detail oriented. You see, when you put
tunamwachianga.
a full stop somewhere that's not supposed to be,
Remove
you
it.
take a document, 20 pages, there's a full stop.
Anaionea hapo.
Page
When we were
2.
buying our TVs,
Yeah.
yeye ndio alikuwa anaangalia hadi power inaitwaje?
Power consumption, everything.
Don't buy this.
Yeah.
Buy
Buy
this
this.
one.
Alisema, hold my document. I'm coming. She gave me the recommendation. Everything. Anafaa
kwa lawyer, by the way.
Yeah.
Eva kujongelesha Michael.
Yeah. So if she has that and she's an investor, her investments are like 80% sure bet.
Zitakuwa poa.
Niliambia when I'm buying my car,
Eva Mugwiru.
I'll put her there and then I bring 2 guys. Guys usually argue about cars. So I'll bring them when people who have very different opinions, alafu niwalete pamoja. The car that they eventually agree on, wote watatu. Eva and 2 guys. That is the one.
Yeah.
Muagree Range Rover.
Umefanya homework.
Mfanye homework.
Yeah, and then now from there you have peace of mind.
Fanyeni homework, lipeni your professionals, na uende home.
That's the main thing now. Fanya homework, follow procedure, lipa professional kama utaki kufollow procedure, and then we go home.
Yeah, just that.
Thank you,
Umesema
Michael.
kila mtu anafaa kuwa na lawyer.
Actually, yes.
Hebu tuambie wewe ni lawyer wa wapi?
So I work at Mohammed Muigai. Mohammed Muigai LLP. That's where I'm based. Yeah, so shout out to them.
You are doing...
I do corporate commercial as well as banking, finance and real estate. Not misi mtu akotini sana. Yeah, so I focus mostly on those 2 areas.
Procedure.
Yeah, procedures, contracts. I like those. Yeah.
So we will put, by the way, Michael.
Nataka tukupate Instagram.
We'll put them here, by the way.
Wapi?
Skwangi IG.
Oh, I remember by the way you saying you don't have socials.
Yeah, I'm not on social media.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
follow up on memes.
On memes, hizo zinanipitanga tu. But the juicy ones get to me.
Through WhatsApp.
My sisters WhatsApp. Yeah, through WhatsApp, yes.
Guy, nani anatumia WhatsApp status?
Ni sawa.
Yeah, lakini utanipata kwa mtandao. I'm sure niko kwa website ya farm.
Sawa, tutaweka basi yeah, the nini, and then we'll also put your email.
Yeah.
If someone wants to reach you out.
Yes.
They can
Maybe mtu hataki kutuambia their personal
things.
stuff. Anataka confidentiality ya Michael.
Yeah.
We'll put the email there.
But thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Munakumbuka nikiwaambia naleta msewa you guy my guy. Sometimes believe in us. Sometimes they have to believe in us.
Tulisema tunawaletea very very good guests. I know the last every episode yenye tumekuwa na guest, people have loved it.
And for sure you're going to love this. Tutafanya another hot one soon.
Najua watu wameuliza kuhusu staff na housing levy.
Affordable housing. What is this housing levy? What is this? Nashinda tu naona imekuwa subtracted. Kuna wenye hata hawalipi.
People don't even know where it's going.
So that's what we want to.
All the questions muulize hapo chini tuulize Michael. anataka
Atataka kurudi.
niko sure atarudi.
So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you Michael once again. Nitashinda tu nimesema.
Thank you.
But
Yeah.
thank you so much Michael.
You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, where else?
Spotify.
At The Real Conversation Podcast KE. We are so happy you guys have been here for now 7 episodes.
Yes.
So we're happy that you guys have been here with us 2 months now. So thank you so much. And that's it for today. So thank you guys. This has been The Real Conversation. See you next week, same time, same place.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Michael, ongea watu
Bye.